Today, we will talk about how to maintain and improve the health of your shoulders as it relates to the sport of archery. My name is Brian Hathaway. I'm the owner of Peak Performance in upstate New York. The number one problem we see at our clinic, our outpatient clinic, is not knee, it's not neck, it's not the low back, it's the shoulders. And shoulder injuries are indiscriminate of age or activities. So this video is going to address how to strengthen your shoulders specifically to archery, but more importantly, why. One of the things that we explore in physical therapy is the concept of specific training. And what that means is that let's take a baseball player, a tennis player, and an archer. All three utilize their shoulder to some degree, but each one uses that shoulder differently in their sport. Now, there may be some common exercises that you can do globally for all of your shoulder pathologies, but what we want to do is we want to be very specific to the archer. One of the things that the research shows is that by the time you are 60 years old, 50% of the population are going to have tears in the rotator cuff. The rotator cuff is a group of muscles in your shoulder that's extremely important, especially if you are an archer. In fact, the research shows as early as the age of 25, some of this wear and tear and this breakdown starts to happen. But stop me there, because this is not an anatomy or a physiology lesson. This is the one thing that I want you to understand. If your rotator cuff is injured or not healthy, it can affect the sport that you and I love, which is the sport of archery. So here's the question that we pose. Why do we need to train our shoulders? There are two main reasons why we train our shoulder. And the first one is pretty simple, pretty obvious. Most archers will say, hey, you know what? I want to be able to pull back a heavier bow. I want to increase my poundage for hunting. Not only do I want to pull it back, I want to be able to hold it there, which is a fine reason. But the number one reason that we should work on improving the strength of our shoulder is because by doing so, you're going to improve the health of your rotator cuff muscle group. And that is critical if you want to continue to experience this archery sport that can last for years and years. So I will address one specific technique for archers to help with his conditioning and strengthening of their shoulder. And afterwards, I'm going to go through two more common exercises. They're very critical for the rotator cuff, but this one is very specific. And we are going to focus on something that's called an eccentric contraction, which again is a technical phrase, but we're going to utilize that to help the health of our tendon and muscle and improve the strength of our shoulder. So the technique we're going to talk about is a specific muscle contraction that you're going to do while drawing your bow. We're going to essentially work on the negative aspect of the function of the muscle. So for example, if I was curling, in layman's terms, this is the positive part of the motion, and going down is the negative part of the motion. That's what's called an eccentric contraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the bow to be our resistance while we do this. And what I recommend, I highly recommend this, is that you use a lighter bow than you typically shoot. This creates a lot of tension on the muscle. It's going to be a little bit surprising, the fatigue. I don't recommend this technique with a compound bow because of the reverse in the let off. You know, you're going to be at full draw, and then as you ease up, that's a little bit too much force on the shoulder. But we're going to show you in a moment just exactly what we want you to do in regards to how you're going to do this strength training. And the great thing is you should do this on both sides, because both shoulders, the rotator cuff works. They work a little bit differently, obviously, the bow arm versus the draw arm, but they still need to be exercised.
Okay, so here's an exercise to strengthen those shoulder muscles with the bow. What you're going to do is you're going to draw, get to anchor, pull a little bit more, and then slowly let down for a count of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't let the string all the way down, and then pull again. Anchor, pull a little bit more with those shoulder blades and count down for a count of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, don't let that string go all the way down. Pull a little bit more and count down. 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So that was a quick demonstration of doing that negative muscle work. Now, here's the great thing. I was not just working my draw arm, I was working my bow arm too. If you watch, it's moving as I'm continuing to push and control that. So here's what we recommend. We recommend 3 groups of 5 repetitions. Your recovery is your recovery when you're doing the other side. So get a glove, put it on the other hand, and do them on the other side. Now, for those of you who do not have a weaker bow, for instance, that bow that I was using in the demo was a 40-pound bow. I typically hunt and shoot with bows around the 60-pound range, and I have done that for years and years. Even in the minimal competitions that I do, I still shoot 60 pounds because that's what I'm used to. So if you do not have a lighter bow, I just saw in the Men's Health issue this month that the Gorilla Bow is something for you that you could take a look at that could give you some different resistance. You can do the pulling with just a rubber band, but in doing that, you miss the bow arm aspect. And it's not stationary. If you hooked your bow hand onto a metal pole and pull and do that 5 count, yes, you're going to get some benefit in that draw arm, but you're going to lose out on the bow arm, and that's just as critical. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you 2 more exercises that should be included in this routine. And typically, you should do this 2 days during the week. It doesn't need to be any more, and you can work on increasing your reps of your bow pulls. So we said 3 groups of 5. Let's see if we can get to 3 groups of 8 to 10. And like I said, we're going to go through those 2 other exercises that are very effective and backed by research in regards to recruitment of the rotator cuff. Okay, you need a light weight and either a roll-up towel or a small ball that's going to go in between your arm and your ribs. You're going to lay down on your side. Okay, this is called external rotation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my arm up, and then it's a slow count down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rotate up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm working the negative aspect of the exercise to get the most benefit. Okay, the last movement you're going to do is laying on your stomach, off your bed, off a weight bench if you have it. I like to slide over so just my forearm is off. I have the bed, table, bench supporting my upper arm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate up, and it's the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rotate up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rotate up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm trying to keep 90 degrees at my elbow and at my shoulder as I do this movement. Both of these 2 exercises with weights, I recommend 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps each, and you want about a minute rest in between each set, and do both sides.